The chair now recognizes Ms. Clarke from New York.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank our ranking member, thank our witnesses for their testimony here today. The mission of the Homeland Enterprise is vast and complex. It's important for the success of the Homeland mission that we focus on the challenges of law enforcement in the midst of an urgent migrant crisis and the conflation of the opioid and fentanyl crisis with asylum seeking is quite unfortunate. It distracts from the real work of surging resources and personnel required to win against drug cartels and drug dealers. As the daughter of immigrants, I find it extremely distasteful to sit here and look at how we've used the plight of our fellow Americans to exploit what is clearly xenophobia. Ms. Kisling, I am deeply sorry for your loss. But I know that with the proper resources dedicated to drug programs, drug rehabilitation, education, some of the things that you mentioned to some of my colleagues that you did not have access to in your child's high school, we could save many more lives. And I hope that you'll become a more vocal advocate for delivering those resources to your community, because I'll stand shoulder to shoulder with you in making those resources available. And Dr. Trenso, you have a hospital that could do great work in that space. I hope you too will become an advocate for the type of treatment that our nation needs to get past what has been a decades-long addiction crisis. Our decades-long broken immigration system needs reform. I'm hopeful that when we clear the air of the smoke that has been, the smoke screen that's been erected by those who would use our crisis of addiction to demonize those migrants who have risked life and limb seeking safety and freedom in one of the greatest nations in the world, that we will get down to the business of a 21st century immigration system in the United States of America. Mr. Beer, you mentioned that immigrants to be key contributors to our economy, and having a restrictive immigration system only leads to millions of people who want to contribute their skills and hard work to do so illegally, which leads to violations of the law. How can we ensure that immigrants who are big contributors to the American economy can have lawful pathways while they are awaiting legal status without the fear of being ripped away overnight and sent back to the dangerous conditions from which they've escaped?
We have to start by looking at what's causing people to come to the border. Of course, when you look at Cuba and Venezuela, these are socialist governments that have destroyed their economies and trapped people in poverty for many years now. Nicaragua is going in an authoritarian way. We've seen what's happening in Central America with the violence and crime there. Mexico, we hear all the testimony about the cartels and the violence that is occurring. People are coming because they're being driven out, not because they really want to leave their homes. And so we need processes and procedures that allow them to apply to come legally. And that will free up resources for law enforcement to come. We've already seen successful programs to do this, whether it be the Ukrainian program we talked about earlier, or the programs for Venezuela and these other countries that were just rolled out in January, saw a massive drop in people arriving. That's because people know if they can apply legally, if there's a viable shot, they will go the legal route because of all of the risks coming illegally to this country.
Thank you very much, and not to mention Haiti.
Of course, right, I'm sorry for...
With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you. At this time, I'll recognize the